I am very glad for my guest today. He's a very special real estate investor. Lane Kawaoka is ex-civil engineer who invests passively in real estate from Honolulu, Hawaii. Lane runs simplepassivecashflow.com and the host of Passive Real Estate Investing Podcast. Lane, are you ready to enter the grid?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool, man. So I give a little bit of introduction about you. Why don't you give us more about who you are and what you do now?
Yeah, so today, currently own 4,500 rental units in America. Uh, we buy mostly workforce style housing, so not housing for the wealthy, not housing for the really low end, but kind of the middle class, lower middle class is the people that we serve.
Oh, cool. So when did you start your real estate? You went from an engineer to real estate. When did you start that?
Yeah, so I bought my first rental property in 2009 while I was working my engineering job. Um, I just decided to buy a property because that's what everybody says to do, right? Buy a house to live in.
Yeah.
But as many things that as we'll probably talk about, what they tell you isn't necessarily true.
Yeah, that could be right. So in general, people who want to go to get a house to live in, for example. So should they be thinking about buying or should they thinking about renting?
Yeah, so I think most people out there in the world aren't very good with their money, right? They get
Yeah.
money, they spend it. In fact, they probably go into debt more, right? Spending money they don't have. So
Yeah.
those people, sometimes buying a house is a way to force savings account, right? But a lot of people I work with are pretty good with their money. They're good savers. They invest a lot in their retirement. For those people, which I would say is definitely the minority of people out there, maybe you would say is less than 10 or 5%, or even less than 1%. Those people, it's better to not buy your house and take that money that you would have put on a down payment and bought investment properties with that.
Uh,
So there's a
so
paradigm.
yeah, exactly. So what the mindset should be for those people? How they should approach that?
Yeah, so I mean reasoning behind it is pretty simple. I mean, you can make a lot more money than it does in your house. A lot of times, I mean, you can probably buy here in America. I mean, for the price of a house that you have to put the 20% down payment, you could buy 4 or 5 houses. And the difference between that is, you're getting the appreciation in both of the real estate, whether you rented it and you bought some rentals or if you bought your own house. But the difference is if you had 4 or 5 rentals, so 4 or 5 families are paying down your mortgage for you. And that's the difference.
Yeah, exactly. So so what are the high cash flow markets? Is this considered a cash flow market in real estate?
Yeah, so a lot of the places I think people think about, like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Boston, New York, Miami, are not good places for cash flow. They're what we call primary markets.
Yeah.
And primary markets don't cash flow. The numbers don't work there. Not only is it very expensive, but the price to rent ratio doesn't work. So we normally target places in more secondary and tertiary markets such as Birmingham, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Memphis, Little Rock. But probably places most people haven't heard of. But there, we can hit this magical ratio called the 1% rule, where you take the monthly rent divided by the purchase price, and we're looking for something 1% or higher. So, for example, we can buy a lot of properties for $100,000 a piece, and that'll rent for $1,000 a month. So 1,000 divided by 100 grand is 1%, and that hits our numbers.
Mm. Mm. So do you think these kind of states like New York and LA, these are the big cities, probably has high priced places or homes or rentals? So this is the reason why even you don't recommend maybe people starting there, maybe?
Well, I mean, it's just the numbers don't work. right? When numbers don't work, things are going. You're not going to make money. And one of the big things we do is we hire third-party property managers to do our dirty work for us, to manage the tenants, the repairs. They usually take 10% of the rents.
Wow,
So
okay.
that's why you need a property that cash flow, so you can pay a professional to do that for you.
Yeah, cool. So tell me about the cash flow quadrants. What's the cash flow quadrant?
Yeah, so basically, I mean, there's markets that don't cash flow, and there's others that do, and then there's some places where you get a little bit of both, right? It barely cash flows, places like Phoenix, Arizona, but there's possibility for appreciation there.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about a little bit should be people buy or rent, but and you mentioned that some people might take, for example, a loan to do that. So do you think debt in general, is it a good thing or a bad thing?
But that depends if you can use the money to make more money, right?
Yeah.
If you build a factory and you pay a 10-20% note, well, the question should be, well, how much are you making on that money, right? So in anything, if you have credit card debt, that's likely going to be bad debt. But if you have a
Yeah.
5-6% note on your real estate that makes you 10, 20, 30%, right? When you look at it from that direction, it's a no-brainer. But the problem is most people look at debt in a bad light all the time, right? And they don't differentiate between good debt and bad debt.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So how can we differentiate between that? Exactly.
Well, I mean, figure out what you're paying for your debt, right? On a piece of real estate, maybe around 5%, and how much money are you making with by carrying that debt with the investment? I mean, this is what essentially banks do.
Yeah,
Be
banks.
like a bank.
Yeah, exactly. Banks are they encourage people to go deposit their money in the account, so basically to give them like an interest every year. But on the other hand, they take more interest from people that take loans and stuff like that. So they're
That's
balance, they are balancing out more from their customers.
that's correct. That's
Yeah,
correct.
this
And I
is
think
yeah, this is how they make the money.
right, and that's exactly how we should be doing it too,
Yeah.
right? Unfortunately, most people are very debt averse. And again, yeah, most people probably shouldn't wield debt because they're pretty horrible with their money.
The people,
But
because there is like no education about money, I think. Like even in school or universities, people don't the school don't teach people how to manage their finances and their money.
exactly,
And
exactly.
and they don't educate themselves after that. It's like you get a job and you get a monthly paycheck, and that's it. You don't educate yourself and you start spending money and without even knowing. This is what
Right.
happens in general, I see in people all over the world. So what is the best use for the money and where to invest them? What do you think is the best investment for someone's money? If someone has like a little bit of stack, where should they start?
Well, if they have a little bit of stack, you can't buy real estate, right? Real estate, you need some big stack, right? You need like $20,000 to buy $100,000 house. And if you don't have that, sorry, you can't real estate invest.
Okay.
If you don't have money to invest, you can't play. And that's why I like it, because not anybody can do it. Not anybody can pick up an app and buy a piece of Bitcoin, right? You can't do
Yeah,
that, right? And this is why there's a barrier to entry. And that's why I like real estate. That's why real estate is very stable.
yeah. Do you think speaking of stable, maybe they are now stable, but when you started about 2009, so how was things at that time when the 2007 2008 mortgage problem happened?
Well, the stuff that we do is very different than house flippers and wholesalers. We don't buy for appreciation necessarily. We buy for cash flow,
Mm.
right? So when you're buying for cash flow, it doesn't really matter what the price of the property is. If it goes up and down, we're
Mhm.
buying an income stream.
Yeah. So the seller's markets, how to invest proactively in that. Let's say that you said you need some kind of money to buy, like $100,000. You need about 20% of that to get in, right? So how can someone invest proactively in this?
We'll buy for cash flow, right?
Mm,
That way, you know that it's always a good time to buy.
yeah,
You know, because if you have $30,000 to buy or $20,000, you could buy $100,000 house, and you could create an income stream of $200 a month. Every
yeah,
every month that goes by, that $20,000 just sitting in your account, you're losing $200. Is how you need to be thinking about it.
yeah. Inflation rates go up in general. Things gets more expensive with time. If you look now back, I think like 5 or 10 years ago, in any place in the world, if you used to buy something for like $5, now it's maybe 6, 7, or 10 even.
Right, right. The people that save money um, are losers. They will lose.
Yeah, yeah, fiat currency. Yeah, all of this exactly. So you live in Hawaii, right? And
That's correct.
yeah, and you invest all over the states. You have properties all over the states.
Right, right. I don't. I invest in places that I don't live.
Exactly. So what are the best practices for managing properties remotely?
Get a good property manager. Don't be a landlord. Be an investor.
Exactly.
Simple, simple,
Yeah.
passive cash flow.
Uh-huh. Cool. Awesome. Can you explain a little more about how you can do that for maybe a person hearing how can they get the landlord?
Oh, what was that again?
Uh, can you tell us how exactly how we can do that for any listeners who are listening now? How they can get that to manage properties remotely?
Look, Google it. Right. Look up your property managers in your local areas. Go off for referrals.
Yeah,
It's a very common occupation. They're a bit of a commodity out there.
yeah,
But you know, I mean, if you recall, when you were renting,
yeah.
you probably weren't interacting with the landlord per se. You're probably interacting with the property manager.
Mhm. Mm, cool. So, are there, do you think, rules for investing, or just I have a little bit of money, I want to go invest in real estate, or I want to buy some stock, or are there rules for that?
Yeah, first thing is invest where the numbers make sense, right? Where you hit that 1% rent to value ratio, and then just analyze a lot of deals.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What do you think is, for example, the rich getting richer? What are some tricks of these people? Are they like avoiding tax payments or stuff like that?
Well, I mean, the rich are getting richer because they're investing in things where the average person doesn't, and inflation erodes away the value of their money. It's simple
Yeah.
as that.
Yeah.
So you need to be cognizant of what's happening and buy properties that go up in price.
Yeah. Uh, does the rich even use land conversion or buying a real estate to cut into their tax deduction? Will
Of
that
course,
work?
that's what the wealthy do. They buy real
Yeah.
estate. Yeah.
Cool. Any type of real estate or a specific type of real estate?
Any type of real estate that cash flows.
Hmm. Okay.
So
Cool.
stick with what you know, right? Most people know apartments or single family homes,
Mhm. Cool.
right?
So how the average Joe with like not a lot of money can save money on taxes in
They
general, do you
can.
think?
They,
Yeah.
they can. They got to buy real estate.
This
The
is
average Joe is investing in the retirement system. It, the system is engineered to kind of steal money from the average person.
yeah.
So you need to stop doing things that the average people do.
Yeah, actually, yeah, with this now pandemic with the COVID, you see all over the world that the rich gets more money and getting richer, and the people who are working daily, their pay are cut or they laid off from work. This is you see,
Exactly.
yeah, you see it all the time.
Exactly.
So you should be mindful of how to do things. So yourself, how did you raise money to start, or what, did you have already money, or did you raise money for that? How did you do that?
I had my engineering job and I saved my money for my engineering job.
Yeah,
And it takes a while, but no tricks, no games. You need 20% down payments to buy real estate.
yeah. So no minimum than 20% down
Yeah,
payment.
you need money. You got to make money.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, sure, there's some ways to do this real estate stuff with no money, but I don't teach any of those games. Right? We work with high net worth investors.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we spoke about bad debt and good debt. So do you recommend to a lot of people to go and take, for example, a loan to get started, or do you think it's a big risk for them, especially
Get a
if they,
loan. Get a
yeah,
loan as long as you cash flow.
yeah, even if they even if they might be afraid to pay it back or something like that, if it
If
doesn't work
if
for
they're
them.
afraid, just do what everybody else does. It works for 40, 50, 60 years. You know, if you want what everybody else wants, then do what everybody else does.
Yeah, this is what happens, because you in life you should take risks to see if it works, at least not just sit on your chair and that's it, right?
Well, take calculator risk, right? Do the math for yourself. The math doesn't lie.
Yeah, math is cool, but not for everyone. Not everybody likes math.
Well, then you can work at your day job for 40, 50 years, right?
Yeah,
Or you can learn a little math.
yeah. Some basic
What do
math.
you what do you like better? You know, do
Yeah,
you like working and trading your time for dollars for the rest of your life? Or you want to learn a little math, take a little bit of an educated risk
yeah.
and do stuff that other people don't do? I mean,
Okay.
that's ultimately the decision. Financial independence is not for everybody. If not, society would crumble. Who would
Yeah, we
who would
need.
do any of the work, right?
Yeah. We need people to work in everything. We need the baker. We need the someone work at the gym. We need people work all over. Unless we can't get our stuff.
Exactly. Let's hope those guys never use a loan, never buy anything. Let's just hope that they just keep doing what they're doing so they can stay at their jobs and get us coffee, right? But if you want something different from your life, you have to do something
Yeah, you have to
status
make
quo.
massive action. You have to make massive action if you want to change things.
I don't know if you have to make massive action, but you got to make change
Yeah.
and incremental gains.
Yes. That's
Passive
true.
passive investing, I mean, it's slow. It's not a get rich quick thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Exactly. It needs time. It doesn't happen overnight. So let me ask you, I saw on your website that Wall Street took your money. Is this like a true story, or what?
Well, I mean, I think it's a little bit of a. I mean, people don't realize that Wall Street products are retail products designed to take hidden fees away from investors. Most of the returns go to the Wall Street company, whether you make money or lose money. Right? Why is it
Yeah.
that I can invest in real estate on a simple turnkey rental and make 20 to 30% returns? If people don't believe me, they can go to my website, simplepassivecashflow.com/returns. And I have a little video where I kind of do like a whiteboard exercise of the numbers. So 20-30% compared to what, 8 to 10% that they tell you maybe in the stock market. Then,
Yeah.
well, where did all my money go? Right. Well, that's Wall Street for you, right? It's a retail investment going out to retail investors.
Yeah. For anyone who watched the movie Big Short, you know the movie Big Short, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool movie. If anyone haven't watched that, go watch it. It's way you will see how things worked back then in 2008. So, what do you think are some of the trends that are happening now with the pandemic? I don't know, maybe it's starting to fade in this 2021 year or in the coming year. What are some of the trends in regards
Well, I
to
gotta admit to you, I mean, in terms of like cash flow investing, it's business as usual.
yeah,
It's simple, passive, boring cash flow here. People need a place to live, right?
exactly, yeah,
Population is growing. The lower middle class is growing. Um, Business as usual.
yeah,
Heads and
cool.
heads, month and rents due.
Yeah, and people will do whatever it is nowadays to keep. The most important thing in general for people is to have like a roof over their head, and these are the basic necessities of any human: roof over your head and some food on the table. And
Right. The
after,
simplest, the
yeah,
simplest of businesses that meet the basic needs of people. The most boringest things are going to be, I think, the things to invest in.
hmm. Okay, so do you think there is, if someone's like now working, like you said, into a 9 to 5 job and want to start like some kind of a side hustle, how would you say they should start, or would you recommend them to start if they want to go at it?
I would tell them to stay in their day jobs and work their side gig along their day job. That way they can build lean systems to be successful when they actually do quit. And more times than not, you're not going to be successful. Keep your day job.
Mm. So the percentage of success may be low, or is it like a competitive market, or is it like not for
Most people that
everyone?
go into entrepreneurship fail, right? I don't know what the exact number is, but like 90 something percent, or it's a vast majority fail.
Yeah,
To me, keep your day job if you have a job. I mean, that's going to allow you to pay for things that you're not good at, and it's going to be able to build lean systems while your time is short.
yeah. I don't know. I read like an article a while ago, a very long time actually, that businesses in general, whether online or offline, they go out of business from the range to 5 to 10 years because they can't even make a profit. They barely making even. So it's tough out there for some reason, either competitiveness or not innovating enough, these kind of things. So, what do you think are some we mentioned like LA, New York, these are kind of a high property places. What do you think of a list of places to find real estate to start with?
Look in your local area, but if not, I mean, go where the numbers make sense.
Mm, okay, cool. So, what makes sense to you in the regards of number? Is it the price, like we said, the price of the property?
Yeah, that's the starting point. Take the
Yeah,
monthly rent divided by the purchase price. You're looking for something that's at least 1% or higher.
yeah. Cool. So, can anyone build a passive rental portfolio from this?
Not everybody need money to invest. You don't have a day job that makes money where you can save money to make $20,000 to buy a house. This
Hmm.
ain't for you. You need to make money. But if it is, passive investing can be an option.
Yeah, cool. So let me ask you a question a little bit about of this, or maybe involved in this. Bitcoin. Me myself, I would say like I'm not into it. To me, it's like money revolving around. I'm not into Bitcoin. I don't understand it 100%. But to me, it's like a 100% money evolving between people who buy with low price and then gets up because more people buy Bitcoin. So what do you think of Bitcoin and other currencies?
I mean, I'm probably not the guy to ask. I mean, I stay in my lane. I know
Yeah.
real estate investing, and I do pretty well at it. So
Cool.
I stay in my lane.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So it's not a place for you to invest in general. No.
No.
Yeah, cool. It's good
Why,
to be.
why would Michael Jordan go play baseball? You know,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, do you have any where people can find you if you want to learn more
Yeah,
about passive income,
if people want to
cash
learn
flow?
about passive investing, buying rentals or syndications, they can go to simplepassivecashflow.com.
Cool. Simplepassivecashflow.com.
Yeah, or check out my podcast, Simple Passive Cashflow, Passive Investing.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Len, for joining me and being here today with me on the Success Grade podcast.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Hussein. Bye.
All right.